So we're going to be talking about the domain and range of functions. Now, when we're talking about the domain of function, we're talking about all the possible x values that could be part of that function. So our x values, we're going to be looking at the values across our x-axis. For our range, we're going to be looking at all the possible y values we have. So we're going to be looking at the values that go up and down the y-axis. And the strategy we're going to use to figure out the domain and the range of a function is that we're going to draw a box. So what you're going to do is you're going to draw a rectangular box around your function that includes the highest and lowest values you have here. Now remember, your domain refers to all the possible x values. So the domain is going to be looking at the left and right side of your box because those are the values that go through your x-axis. And we can see from here that the left side of our box, oopsie, that's kind of a big circle there. The left side of our box goes through -4, and the right side of our box goes through 6. So those are like the limits on our domain. So for our domain, we would say it goes from -4 all the way up to 6. So you put your lowest domain value and your highest domain value. And then the rest of this notation is we're going to put an x in the middle, and we're going to use these less than or equal to symbols, because what this says is our domain is all the x values that are in between -4 and +6. Okay, and that's how we write our domain. Now for our range, we're going to do the same thing, except this time we're looking at all the possible y values. So instead of looking at the left and right side of the box, now we're going to be looking at the top and the bottom of the box. So again, the top of my box here is at 2. The bottom of my box, I know it's a little hard to see, but it's at -3, -1, -2, -3. So when we go to write the range, we're going to again put our lowest value, which is -3, all the way up to our highest value up here, which is +2. And this time we're talking about the y values. So we're going to have all the y values that are in between -3 and +2. So we're going to use this notation. That says all the y values between -3 and +2. And we can use this strategy for any function we have. Okay, so here's another pretty straightforward line. We're going to draw our box. For our domain, we're looking at our x values. So remember, that's the left and right side of our box. So the left side of my box here is -4. That's my lowest domain value. My highest domain value is the right side of my box here. That's at +1. And we want all the x values that are in between. Okay. For range, oops, remember that's the top and the bottom of our box. So the lowest value, that's the bottom of the box, that's down here at -4. Our highest range value is at the top of our box, that's 5. And remember, range is our y values, so we put a y here, and we want all the y values that are in between -4 and +5. And it doesn't matter whether your function makes a straight line like this or is kind of a weird looking function. You can still make a box. You just have to make sure that your box includes all your values. So your highest value, which is up here, and your lowest value, it's not this point here, but it's all the way down here. So you want the entire function included in that box. And then your domain, again, goes, oopsie, left and right. So our domain goes from -6 all the way to 5, +5, and it's all the x values in between that. And then our range is our y values. So your range, your lowest range value down here, -4. Your highest range value is up here at +3. And again, all the y values in between. Okay, now there are a couple more of these examples on your paper, so I'm not going to do them all with you, but I do want to just show you what the boxes would look like, okay? So if you're looking at this one, remember your box has to include everything. So it's going to look like that. And even if you have kind of a curvy shape, this one's called a parabola here, we can still put a box around it. So when we draw our box, It's going to look like that. It goes all the way up to the top of that parabola, down to the bottom, left and right. And again, if you want to see what your domain would be, it's these two sides here. So if we're looking at it, -2 to +6, +6, and all the x values in between. And you might be thinking, wait a second, that's outside our parabola. And it is where the parabola crosses the line here. But remember, we're going all the way up here. And this point is at -2. Okay, and then our range values, the top and the bottom of my box here, we have 6 and -5. And you always want to put these in order from least to greatest. So put your negative value first and your positive value at last. Okay, and that's how we find domain and range.